When you create a personalized experience, no one else can question what you're doing in your personalized world. Why? Because they're not there and they don't have access to you in your own personalized world, right? But she's going to try to seem to be trying to create that. And anyone with empathy with those attachments, the mother, the child, the grieving widow, the heroic mother that won't stop, the lady who lost her husband and she would not give up, the lady who took over after her husband was assassinated and turned the organization into $1 billion organization that serves all. These are the archetypes of the images that she wants millions of people to hear. Right. And all of those people with those attachments issues are going to believe her. That's the purpose of the manifold world, is to draw the things that you are dealing with. All the details here that she's put on there are designed to pull at your attachments. And if she gets it right, you have no choice but to agree with her perspective, just like she has no choice but to follow all the commands of the narcs who unalived her husband. Hey guys, how's it going? Reed here. Hey, how's it going, guys? Have any of you been following the Charlie Kirk assassination? Um, just an incredibly complex situation here. And so my series is the name of my podcast is Read Matrix. And what I'm trying to do is help you understand the matrix structures around you. And the reason why is very important for you to understand this. The matrix structure around you has more to do with your abilities to survive, to thrive, to progress. The networks around you predict your future, they determine your future, and they can also block you out of certain realities. And you may need access to those realities to get the things you want, or to be able to improve, go to the places you need, or to develop to the places where you want to develop. So it's very important you understand the concept of the matrix structures around you. And that's the purpose of this podcast, Read Matrix. So um, part of the understanding the systems that operate around you, part of understanding the systems that control you, um, um, part of understanding the box you're in, you know, this helps you understand the compartment you're in, right? You're in a certain compartment in society, or a compartment within the civilization, and that's like hard coded. You can't do anything about it. You won't be able to change your class, right? You can't change your socioeconomic class. Only a few people have been able to sort of do that. So you're locked within a certain class, and that class structure determines a lot of the things that happens to you, right? If you're stuck in a lower class, it's different than if you're stuck in the highest class. Those are two different matrix structures and two different systems you're in, right? And so within each and every one of these matrix structures or systems you're in, you're also going to have sick, unconscious people in those systems too. And unfortunately, the sick and unconscious people may make up the majority of the people within the organizational structure you're in. And that becomes a problem, because when one of these unconscious, sick animals, perverted animals, begin to focus on you, they all tend to say the same thing. And at some point, when you mature, you start to understand that, hey, these sickos are all in it together for themselves. And whatever relationship you have with whatever one of these sickos is just a name and title only. It's just that was only the thing that keeps you attached so they can target you and extract everything they can from you. Right? These people are absolutely sick. I mean, these people are perverted and awful. They don't have empathy, and therefore they don't perceive themselves as having a soul, meaning they are whatever their ego tells them, they believe 100%. You can't tell them anything else. Yep. They won't believe it. Try it. You've had the argument that never ends, right? No matter if you say it again, they're not going to get it. Why? Because they're incapable. So you have to understand three idiots inside these networks: the narcissist, the psychopath, and the sociopath. these three idiots, unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with these three idiot types within every network or with every system you're in. If you're at work, you're still going to have to deal with a narcissist, psychopath, and a sociopath. Inside your families, you have to deal with them. What if the narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath is your parent? I mean, can you imagine for most of us with empathy, the struggle we've had to go through just to protect our own realities from such sick, sadistic, and brutal people, right? You have to see them in work. You know, they're all around where you work. If they're plugged, if they're plugged at work, then they're able to sort of abuse people at will without getting consequences. And you can see how these sick people operate like this. And it'll make it clear. And remember, I'm not a Christian, but Jesus Christ was probably the most effective person I ever read, who I've ever read, who will teach you everything you need to know about handling psychopath, narcissist, psychopath, and sociopath. His thing was no contact, absolutely no contact. And he referred to them as dogs and pigs and things like that. So he understood how dangerous these people were. And so you have to encounter these people everywhere. So, and the narcissist is an expert at using these systems because they have to try to control the network or the system you're in order to target you. So you see them forcefully trying to always lead everyone's experience, right? Always trying to push their perspective. If you set any boundaries, they react and recoil as if you've injured them. You tell them no, and whoa, what have you done? And if you ever drew a boundary with them, they can only survive 45 seconds before they enter their victimhood status and start splitting and triangulating and lying and gaslighting. And if they don't restore control over the narrative, then they just destroy the party. And these people are sick. And when they're in your family, these people are sick. And they are in all of our families because they make up the majority of people. Not the narcissist, psychopath, and sociopath, but unconscious people. Just unconscious people, majority anyway. But then the narcissist, psychopath, and sociopath recruit them like an army to come after you. So my series is a series on narcissism is a network, right? So when that narcissist, when that awful, disgusting, hideous pervert is in front of you, then you're not dealing with a person, you're dealing with the system. In this case, Charlie Kirk was publicly executed. And it didn't seem like the people around him were behaving normally afterwards, So, for example, the grieving wife, Erika Kirk, right? And we're going to go and look at some of her videos. But remember, the narcissists have to control the narrative. They have to control the experience, right? And how do they control the experience? They take the reality like this. They take the reality, and then they cover it with a veneer, right? And this is the lie. This is the thing they're trying to do. So they take the truth and just cover it with what there is. And then they present it to you like it's a solution to your problem, like it's a solution to your problem. But here, instead of using a bland excuse, it's a very intricate, detailed excuse. And all of these details are all connected to what you are emotionally connected to. So if you're listening to one of these sick people, they're telling you, they're pulling your strings and putting on what you're attached to in order to provoke your sense of loss to listen to them. And when you accept their solution, you receive it as if they've given you some type of benefit. So you leave the discussion reassured when a narcissist speaks to you, particularly if they're gaslighting. The gaslighting helps you feel reassured over a potential threat that's really not there. And they get the person to act and respond in their best interest, meaning that's how they're so adamant when they come after you. So when that narcissist get that flying monkey or that idiot try in a clique who's targeting you, who's dealing with you, and you don't even know who they are, and you wonder, well, why is this? Why? How come this person doesn't even know me, but they're intensely targeting me and they don't even know me? Well, that's why the narcissist presented to them a delusional system in a manifold, like a manifold world for them, and and the narcissist is giving them these pseudo solutions to help manage their problems, and they feel they're benefiting from looking at this perspective. I mean, they get more relief and comfort from things that they're dealing with because now they can displace it upon you. So the narcissist just gave that idiot, that flying monkey, a mechanism to and a reason to displace their anger upon you. Right? And that's how they send them here. Now, and so because the manifold nature in which the narcissist talk, it commands attention. It's a way to command attention, to command loyalty, to command empathy. All of these things come along. We're listening to the narrative, and the narrative always provokes the listener or the flying monkey to become active or to become activated. So they have to do something to protect themselves. I hope that makes a little sense. And so, so guys, feel free to like, subscribe, and share. Okay. Let's see here. I got some. Let me see. I got a few questions here. Let me see here. Hey, Muhammad, how's it going, buddy? Let me see. Thanks for your question, Muhammad. Always come through my questions, buddy. Thank you. Why does clarity threatens those producing manifold world? Manifoldness is ambiguity. They take something and they create ambiguity, right? It's believable ambiguity. They say something, no, this isn't this, this is that. Okay, well, which one is it? This is not, it's not that, it's that, it's this. No, it's that, it's this. So they use the manifold nature to increase the complexity of it to basically stop you in your tracks from holding them accountable, right? Or it's just the manifold nature. They keep piling on the things that hurt you the most. Let's say if you lost your mother, okay, and you want to be a good mother to your child, then you want to make sure you keep the bills paid. Meaning, when I run this credit card up, your mother really wouldn't approve of you acting this way. Your mother wouldn't approve of you refusing to pay this credit card because you're not taking care of your family, right? That's the manifold nature of that excuse. And so the victim or the flying monkey listen to that, and all these things are so connected emotionally at different levels. It's hard to pull away from all of those things that you're attached to. Why? Because those are the things you're struggling with. Why? You're struggling with them because you can't. The reason why these people are susceptible to the narcissist, and the reason why these idiots are so determined is because they're not able to stop the compulsive behavior when they're triggered like this, right? They're not able to stop because they perceive benefit from this. And when they go, and they're going to try to get the benefit from this. Does it make sense? And because they have been unsuccessful at dealing with the things that hurt them the most, that's the very reason why they suppress it into their unconscious. And when you have someone come in there pulling on those attachments, then the person looks, and while they're feeling the uncomfortable motions of the person pulling at their attachments, like making them feel like they're a bad mother because they're not going to pay your phone bills, pay your credit card bills, right? Once they're dealing with that, while they're dealing with that, if you give them a solution, he's the problem to why you're feeling that way, they're likely going to displace that anger onto that person, right? So there's a characteristic of the flying monkeys and the idiots who actually listen to and follow narcissists. They're unconscious also. Remember, the only difference between an animal and a man is this: an animal has instinct. Like, it's a action and then there's a reaction. It's an action and reaction. Action and reaction. All animals have instincts, but you don't reach manhood, or you don't reach adulthood until there's a thought between the action and response. So you have action, then you think about it, then there's a response. There's an action, then you think about it, and then there's a response, right? You don't mature. You don't mature until you eliminate the response. So you see an action and then you just think about it and no response. You said there's an action, you look at it, you think about it, and then you no response. There's no response. When someone does some awful things to you and you just look at it, assess it, think about it, and then don't do nothing about it, that's when you've healed, right? That's when you've let go what you were attached to, right? That's when you basically become the not the GOAT, but the best. Why? Because now the unconscious people around you have no way of targeting you. Why? Because you're not attached to anything. That's it. That's the whole thing to healing. It's simple. It's that simple. I mean, listen, reading Bibles, going to churches, that's good. But if you want to heal, let go. Don't be attached anymore. And once you get rid of all of your attachments, nothing hurts anymore. It only hurts at where it's pulling. It pulls at your attachments. So here, why does clarity threaten producing the manifold world? Now, it's important that when you talk according to certain rules. So when you grow up, you have to talk, I'm gonna give you a structure of how you need to talk. So first of all, very few words as possible, right? When you're dealing with these idiots, right? Very few words as possible. Second, unambiguous. The words have to be unambiguous. And the third thing, you only say it once, and that's it. You only say it once. Those are the rules when you're dealing with these sick, awful people, these perverts, these disgusting, awful people. That's how you deal with them. You few words as possible, unambiguous, and you only say it once. And then next, you have to let go. And then what? You have to walk away, right? So clarity, meaning unambiguous, threatens manifold worlds. Why? Because it releases your attachments, and they need your attachments in order to create the materials to elaborate on in such details, then you would have believed that they were there, or that this is right. You wouldn't believe that they made all this up. Yep. Well, let's see. And so the narcissists always have to control the narrative. So that's why if you deal with narcissists, best thing you do is shut up, don't say anything at all, because they're going to produce all the content. Well, they have to, because every time someone changes the narrative, they pop up there and try and change it again. And it's going to be a battle over competition over the narratives and stuff. Let me see what I have here. All right. So I have this. Okay, so what am I doing here? I just saw this podcast. I just saw a few things he was doing. So
shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. And don't forget to like the video. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics. Well, apparently Erika Kirk and her camp thought it would go better the next time around.
People don't understand how hard it is to be a professional widow. You don't understand how strenuous the tour schedule is. And I need everyone to know how sad I am. I'm so sad all the time. I miss the little things, so many things that I'll try.
Make sure you follow this, particularly Candace Owens, because she's the one that's been unraveling this whole thing. And Candace just got on this and she hasn't stopped. If this is true, then this suggests that his wife and that his closest friends at Turning Point may have been a part of this. If this is true, then that's the awful reality. And they're saying that they may have been a part of this because he refused to accept donations from Israel. And if this is the case, I think this is probably the best example. I can use that narcissism as a network. And that, remember, I was saying that when you're dealing with a narcissist, you're not dealing with that person. You're dealing with the higher narc that unalived that person. You're dealing with a person who was unalived, and they are serving as a mirror for a higher narc to have their experiences. And when that higher narc is done with you, then they turn this clone off, right? They turn the clone off, right? And look at this situation with Erika and Turning Point, where her husband was executed in front of everyone, and she went back to work to build his organization and his name. So I don't know, and then left her children to go build his legacy. I don't know. So
we're little.
So, but I look at the sort of like the manifold nature of how she speaks and things like that, and it's also, I did a podcast on that they hide reality. They steer you into a different reality by hiding all of the options from you. So if there's 3 options available and they don't like one, they'll remove this option, but only give you present the 2 options that they want, that they're having difficulty selecting. You know, this reminds me of going to medical school and being medical school with a sociopathic classmate that was still had a connection with the financial aid office and was still in financial aid from everybody, while all the other students had to get loans and had to do that while she's stealing all the money. Well, geez, I forgot. I forgot that point. Let me go back to Erika Kirk here. And so she's trying to control the narrative by creating very elaborate details of stuff. And sometimes it's too elaborate. And it seems like on many of the things that she should be addressing, like justice for her husband, she's not. So in this, so what I'm saying here in this situation, she seems to not have express any outward support for people actually going after the people who really killed him. It seems as if all of her messaging has been basically in support of Israel, but in portraying Israel in a favorable cultural light, but never nothing about her, the public execution of her, and the impact of something like this, the possibility of something like this, and then the trauma. Now, remember, when I said that these people do not have consciousness, they don't have a soul. If you think about these people, if our government was involved in it, or if the people around Charlie Kirk was involved in it, then that means that they agreed to a public execution in front of all of us, in front of his children. His children will be able to look at this stuff forever. You know, that if this is the case, then this is what they decided for us. They're going to make us watch a public execution. This is very significant. Whoa, I mean, it's narcissism. You have to understand this. Narcissism is a network.
That I miss. But the thing I miss the most of all is when you come home on a Friday.
Fair. She's asked for privacy at this time.
Your food will never be cold. It's those little things where, again, he would walk through the door, drop his bags, daddy's home, take his phone, Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, throw it in the junk drawer, and it was just all us. And that.
See, when she said Shabbat Shalom, that, you know, she's not Jewish, right? And then there's the Jewish narrative coming in here. And then she's talking about the Sabbath. I think she's a Christian, but I think let me see. I know Seventh-day Adventists. Worship the Sabbath. Let me see. Some say, hey, what religion? So, what religion did he recognize as savage? Charlie Kirk is an evangelical Christian who, he personally observed the 7-day Sabbath. Okay, this practice is uncommon in main Christianity. That's what I'm saying. I think it's only like 7-day Adventists. Like 7-day Adventists is which typically does not recognize Sabbath as specific. 7-day Adventists does, and so I didn't think so. And then this, I've never really heard. That's the first time I heard a Christian use those terms. So I think when I describe like the manifold nature what I'm talking about. I think I can describe that as the using that the Jewish word, saying that he worshipped the Sabbath, describing his practices on the Sabbath when he's not in a religion that practices the Sabbath, right? If he said he was a 7-day Adventist, and the 7-day Adventists go to church on Saturday and they worship the Sabbath, right? But other than that, I don't know any other Christian organizations that do that. And so that's the other manifold part of it, And then when she say he comes on and say daddy, everything, um, now here's one of the problems that narcissists have. They can only see things that the ego present them, so they can only see things in their world. They can't see things from your perspective, right? They can't see in your world. But what happens is, if they're forced to engage in your world, they don't engage with your world competently. They engage in your world as a character. So she's entering her husband's world, as daddy? No, that's not the right description. So they enter. So again, so just narcs in general, they enter your world either as the hero, like the protector, the erotic fixture, the vixen. They go eroticize you and stuff like that. What are other roles? The healer. They go come in as a healer, a parental figure, and things like that. So when she has to describe things from his perspective, she doesn't describe with the same competency that she talks as the president of TPU, whatever that is, her organization. She talks as if she's a child, daddy, and things like that. Maybe it's because she's regressing because it's a tough time for her. But when she goes back, when she gets out of his perspective, she's back to the same competent person with all of her mental faculties and able to answer questions like an adult. Makes sense? I hope it makes sense. And so the same thing with you. And so the narcissist never can actually really engage with you in your world. They present as a character. And as they present as a character, their facial expressions are distorted, their behaviors are distorted, their mannerisms are distorted. Just like the crying here, she's doing an interview. And I'm not sure if she was crying before the interview when she got there. I don't know why. I don't know. Did she just start crying when they asked her the questions, or was she crying in the lobby? Was she crying on the way there? I don't think so. And so the performers are crying right now. I'm not sure if this is genuine. I'm not. The lady lost her husband, so I don't want to say anything about her.
I always wanted to make so special for him was coming home.
I always wanted childlike idealization. Now we know what the primitive defense mechanism within the ego. And so this is idealization, and then so this is the splitting that occurs here, and so that occurs here. And it could have occurred because she's traumatized and things like that, and so because she's overwhelmed and stuff like that, it can occur there. But you want to sort of look for some of these things like splitting and idealizing, projecting her issues on other people, infantilizing herself and things like that. Listen.
I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home. Home is here for you. Your food will...
Idealization, I don't care how long you get home. Honey, I don't care how long you get home. Your food for you.
Be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine. And I just want to encourage spouses.
But I'll reheat it. I'll reheat it. So she's describing herself in idealized terms. She's the idealized wife. Right, she's the ideal wife and everything, and so that splitting, that idealization, that splitting is occurring when she describes things from his perspective, right? So when she tries to describe what it was like for him to get home, that's how she describing herself through his eyes. You got me? And that's when you pick that up. This is how if you said, well, how would he describe you? Oh, this is all the things that she would describe you, because she it doesn't seem to reflect, be expressing his true experience, which his true experience would probably been for her to continue the narrative that he left off on, not change the narrative about the idealized version of him that doesn't exist, right? And the benefit of Israel. Let's see.
Don't get mad. It's so easy. Don't do it.
When I get home tonight, I'm going to look at my beautiful.
Let me see here.
Person would be able
to put her in charge of CBS News. Creativity is penalized. How dare you say that? It's not what every other drone is saying. It's not what the machine tells us.
So the lady who interviewed her apparently is the head of CBS, and apparently she got there because she's a huge Israel supporter, not because she was qualified for the job. And so this is what Tucker Carlson is saying.
And Barry Weiss, the single least creative human being, the single most robotic. What are the talking points?
Now that.
So Barry Weiss was the CBS executive that was interviewing her. And that's the lady here. All right, that's the lady here. Now, they're saying that all the media and all these guys are in on it together. So you can see CBS pushing the Israel-friendly first notion on top of this and stuff.
So, like you do, Barry Weiss and Erika Kirk, and specifically the people that are on camera. So how? Oh, she's just going to do it herself?
I just sat down for an hour with Erika Kirk and we talked about everything. We talked about what was going through her head when she stood on that stage and forgave her husband's alleged murderer.
Okay. So this is the new CBS director. I don't follow this stuff, and I could be getting wrong with this. So this is the new CBS director, and she's trying to frame this. This is the heroic mother and things like that. And apparently she just forgave the man that ended her husband's life. And again, she did this despite all of the speculation that it may be her. People think it may be her involved. And so again, she's creating the manifold world. And then look, narcissism is a network, because you see this lady here is producing this 5D warfare content. See, right now, narcissism is a network, and the large powers who run these huge corporations, they're trying to program our ego. So they're going to push the narratives out of all of these resources we pay attention to in order to shape our narrative. And basically, that is that Charlie was Israel first and Israel friendly. Not that Israel seemed to have gotten involved, been behind all of this stuff. And so it's interesting to see how the groups fight for control over the narrative, right? And so here she's describing her, again, in idealized terms. Now, you think about this, Charlie Kirk was publicly executed, but no one is actually talking about him. Him and who did it, and how the government should be, and law enforcement should be giving people updates every day, and there should be dragnets, they should be this, people and everything. The government, but it's there. The government's been silent, but then all of the news reports that come out seems to portray her in a way that portrays her as a hero. And what is portraying the surviving family, the widow, as a hero have to do with justice for the person who was executed? Now, this is another maneuver that narcissists do, right? Now, I suggest that you never provoke these idiots, because if you provoke one of these idiots, they will push your card, they will pull your card, and they will take an opportunity to harm you. Like if you threaten one of them, they will respond to the threat and harm you, and they will rather unalive you, right? They will prefer to unalive you and just have to deal with the question of whether or not it was self-defense, right? And this is the same, and I can't help but view her making an announcement that she's forgiven her husband's killer so soon. She doesn't really know who he is yet, right? And there's so many questions, but then she does the same thing. She focuses her attention on her, but away from the victim. Does that make sense? And this is the things that these people do, and it seems as if she's getting a lot of coordination and help from huge systems in order to try to gas everybody to believe that she wasn't involved in this, and now wasn't involved in this. And you look at all the stories, all the books and everything, it's always the person you would least expect it. That's the thing about narcissism as a network, that concept of keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. This is something that's intrinsic to these sick people. They want to get as close to you as possible. They will marry you. They will have children with you. They will destroy the lives of the children just to bind you. They will destroy everyone's life. When they try to come and enter your life, they will destroy your friendships behind your back. Just like remember, these idiots, they primarily work in structures, and so whatever structure you're in, whether or not it's a family system, an employment system, a sports system, or whatever like that, they're going to be in the background, talking to everybody, trying to turn them against you in the background. These cowards. Let me go home with this. Let me see. So they describe her in this idealized terms and stuff like that. So basically, just like I was saying, that don't threaten the narc because they're going to unalive you. And then the whole debate is going to be about whether or not they were afraid or not whether or not you died or not. They're talking about whether or not they changed the concept, whether or not they were afraid or not what they did to you, what they felt, right? So let me just go through that again. If you threaten the narc, they're going to live up to it. And they're going to try to unalive you, and they're going to unalive you knowing that the debate is not going to be about what they did to you. The debate is going to be about whether or not they were afraid or not. That's two different questions. So they change. They're going to always try and take advantage of that opportunity. That's why you should never do that, right? But they're going to use the technique to change the whole conversation. So something as large, something as meaningful as your life, they can simply change the conversation on that. And everything that happens to you is in the shadow and no one's talking about it. Just like in this situation with Turning Point USA, the wife is out projecting her victimhood and now her honor and how admirable and how strong she must be to forgive her husband's killer before they even know who the killer is. Remember, then the dark, they always have that circle of reasons because it's her. She probably wasn't the one to pull the trigger, but it's still her. The killer's her. I bet you. Why? Because she's the only one talking. She's the only one providing the content.
All of the conspiracies surrounding his assassination. And of course, we talked about grief, political violence, and so much more.
I never wanted.
This is nuts. Mm-hmm.
Concern, Jessica, is not necessarily that they're paying lawsuits. The biggest concern is that they feel like they have to self-censor themselves because they're afraid of what that means for retribution.
And we already saw the drama going down in 60 Minutes.
The real answer of Kamala was very crazy or dumb.
I have so many CBS staffers saying this was a shameful effing disaster. And just in case you thought that was hyperbole,
Hate is hate. It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance. Israel, Jewish people.
So look at this though. Now there are other elements to this that's awful. You know, I think Candace Owens is exposing that there's likely a global elite that works across boundaries. And if you have an organization that they can use, they'll give you either you take the money and we co-opt your organization to be able to do things, or we assassinate you. And I think this may be going along those lines there. Now, if it is, she definitely has handlers. And it's the network. Right? And these handlers executed her husband in broad daylight in front of everyone. And these handlers also have government and officials, the military officials, and absolutely everything, right? And so, out of all of this, out of all of the things that she talk about, she doesn't talk about her husband in terms of, she talks about him in idealized terms, but not in terms of loss. But then she goes out and says this about the state of Israel. And what does that have to do with the loss of your husband? You know, and I empathize with the situation she must be in, because the same people who assassinated her husband, she has to really demonstrate her usefulness to them. And I think that this is what this is, a dog and pony show. Let's see what's happening. And remember, I said that you have to be very careful, because if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you're not in a relationship with that person. You're in a relationship with the higher narc that unalived that person. And when this higher narc is done with you, the whatever you had with this person, this mirror, is gone, and they're no longer there. Meaning the world, the reality they created for you was synthetic in its presentation. It was created through projection. It took the person a lot of energy to create a manifold reality like that. And you believe all of the richness of your experiences, all the hugs and all the love y'all made and all that stuff, you believe that was all real, but it was that manifold world. And when the narc said that it's time to move, then they stopped projecting that world and they disappeared. And you were left with, what the fuck just happened? Was all of this real? Was it not? What happened? You're left wondering what happened. And what happened? They disappear. They're gone. And so in this case, imagine Charlie. He's married to one of them. And this person is more connected to the power structure, whoever it is, than to her husband. And if this power structure eliminated her husband, of course she's going to have to dance to a tune. And I think she got to get it right. Why? Little lies multiply. She has to get it right. So I think her tones when it talks about Israel, I think it's going to be different. Yeah, because now if you mess up with these, hey, it's going to cost you your life if you mess up. You're going to have to toe the line. You're going to have to get everybody to believe this. Let's just see what she says and does.
It's evil.
Hyperbole.
Hate is hate. It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear on our stance. Israel, Jewish people. It's awful. Awful. Anti-Semitism is what healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? What healing factor comes out of hating Christians? What healing factor comes out? Hate in general, nothing.
Well, I think they're going to trace all this back to Israel. And so I think this may be the PR before the storm.
Nothing. Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together. And
now talk about Israel as if this holy place.
Able to walk in the place where our Lord walked and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor. How could you hate that place? How could you hate the Jewish people?
You know, there's a lot of other things going on there, like a genocide too. You can hate them over the genocide.
You can hate them. They're fair game. Matter of fact, wasn't it your same Turning Point USA that was coming for the Hindus and Vivid person who had person? Right.
Charlie ever spoke to?
That would definitely be a deal breaker if they were, though, right?
Erika, as you know, the last person that Charlie ever spoke to was a Utah Valley student named Hunter Kozak. He was asking Charlie a question that day when he was shot, and he's here tonight, and he wants to ask you a question.
Hi there. Erika, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your calls for peace and unity. And I'm likewise horrified by the people in my so-called camp who were cheering about Charlie's murder. I believe that they stoke the flames of violence. But even worse is when powerful, influential people on either side of the aisle stoke the flames. When they do it, the flames can become an inferno. And this leads me to Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person.
Now he changed the narrative on her. So he's talking about political violence and stuff. And now he switched to Donald Trump, and he's going to describe his,
Earth, who has more responsibility than anyone else to put the flames out. Just last month, President Trump called on 6 Democratic lawmakers to be tried for sedition, which he clarified was punishable by death. He then reposted a simple...
So, okay, she's caught in duality right now because she has to toe the line of the network that she's representing, right? But she run across one of Charlie's real combatants. So, for example, Charlie was sitting on this stage like he was a guru or a sage, answering all of these questions as if he were the wise man. He sit down as it was wise man and things like that. The whole setup was like that, right? But he would answer some real questions, right? And this gentleman seemed to be picking up where he left off with a real question about political violence. Now, he started off with the question, but at the end he's changed. So he may have gotten through they probably only wanted people in the audience who were going to give certain questions. And he started off in one way and then he changed it towards the end. But look at her response to this, because she's going to have to give a response that's approved by the network that was responsible for this. But he is looking for a response that Charlie would honestly give. And you're going to see what she's going to choose at this point. Let's see.
Message. Hang them. I think that you've been making strides to bring peace to our country, and that turning point has been asking Democrats to decry the individuals who cheer for violence. I have and will continue to decry them. But any good faith effort to stop political violence must hold both parties to the same standard and expectation. So in that spirit, will you condemn the violent rhetoric of Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your question. You know my heart. Why would I ever say, yes, go murder people?
She derailed. She derailed. She didn't answer the question. She derailed. The options was this is a real question that Charlie would answer, because it's a real student that they were clashing with over real ideas. So it was like this battleground they have. But she took the detour. Now she's going to give the formatted answer given by her overlords. Now, here's another thing. If you see her response, where her loyalty lies, and this shows you what it's like when you're dealing with these sick people, and when they're not around you, this is exactly how they behave. They behave cold, distant, as if you don't matter. They devalue you. They continue a fake narrative that devalues you to keep all of them in their own reality, so you never know what's going on. So the narcissist behind your back appears to other people like this when they talk about you, right? And then they have to continue to feed these manifold lies about you to keep them all thinking about the same things while they're hiding what they're doing to you, right? Let me see here. So she derailed on the conversation.
So much deeper than just one. I understand your sentiment. I do. But this is also so much deeper than just one person.
So she's saying you can't blame Donald Trump. So he's the president pushing out these type of violent response. You can't blame him, she's saying.
This starts at the home.
This is what they also, when you, if you're experiencing any period of time where you're having a lot of psychological, emotional stress or discomfort, and you really don't know what is coming back, it's coming from the people who are right next to you. That's what it's coming from. And the thing is that they're all huddled in a different reality doing shit, and you're not aware of it, but you pick up the differences in your environment. It is registered as emotional, psychological pain when you don't have the knowledge of what's going on around you, right? Let me see this.
Okay. This starts with family.
So they're gaslighting you. And so the thing about the people, they automatically enable the people in that network, minimize what they've been doing, never hold them accountable, and always say things that's going to paint you in just an awful light, right? They're going to do only the things that paint you in an awful light, and then they're going to excuse, minimize, ignore, deflect, derail of all the things that someone in their network is doing. So one of the ways that I wonder if one of the ways you can really identify these people is by the things that they overlook and excuse, right? So I can tell you now, she was the same one that said, Charlie Kirk loved you. Charlie Kirk loved you, and I don't think Charlie Kirk loved Trump. I don't know. I didn't follow him like that. I'm just new to this also, but it's a good talk for my show. There's a lot of narcissistic stuff around here.
This starts with a seed that grows and grows. You can choose to have evil in your heart, or you can choose to have light.
Now, remember when I described the manifold nature of the conversation? I think we're about to be getting into it now and stuff like that. Let me just tell you how sick this becomes. Okay, let me just tell you. Okay, and this is what they do. You have to be careful with these sick people. Okay, me and you are talking about reality. Let's say we're talking about something in reality, right? That we're doing. Like I went to work, I did this, I did that. Okay, that's really. Now, that's where you can stay when you have your conversation, but you don't want to go any deeper than that, right? So let's say that inside this conversation, going through my day, I sat down and I was talking to one of my friends at work, right? And then we were talking about my friend's relationship. And my friend actually, for Thanksgiving went home for the weekend and got a chance to high school reunion and things like that. And then got into some arguments with her family and things like that. Okay, so now we're inside this woman's world, right? Which don't exist. It only exists in her head. So we could talk about reality, but then when you start talking about the things in that woman's world, now you at that level below reality, right? And then imagine you're talking about a conversation between these people, and you start talking about when you and your friend were kicking it at an earlier time during high school. Now you getting even deeper into the system and stuff like that. So that tunneling or that boreholing, digging boreholes, tunneling, gaslighting, rabbit holes. When you start to see this, you see this manifold nature. They're trying to render so many details that you upload a whole experience. And so they're going to teleport you into a different reality. And so if they don't provide all the minute details that they're making up about this, then it'll be hard for you to have a virtual experience. If you have a virtual experience, then it's going to pull from the things you're attached to. And then what's going to happen? You're going to view things from from their perspective, right? You're going to she is out there as the darkness, as this network, whoever is a part of the network that executed him in public in front of everybody on purpose for all of us to see, just to take over his organization and go pro-Trump, pro-Israel. And now it's gone so bad that she's the main spokesperson. So she's going to have to get out here, be the main groomer. She's going to have to make her story feel believable. She's going to have to convince the people on the fence that she wasn't a part of this. But it's interesting the nature where she goes about doing it. She goes about doing it by adding more complexity to the story, not simplicity. And why do you want to add complexity? Yeah, complexity allows you to control the narrative. Why? Complexity allows you to create a personalized experience. When you create a personalized experience, no one else can question what you're doing in your personalized world. Why? Because they're not there and they don't have access to you in your own personalized world, right? But she's going to try to seem to be trying to create that. And anyone with empathy, with those attachments, the mother, the child, the grieving widow, the heroic mother that won't stop, the lady who lost her husband and she would not give up, the CEO, the lady who took over after her husband was assassinated and turned the organization into $1 billion organization that serves all. These are the archetypes of the images that she wants millions of people to hear, right? And all of those people with those attachments issues are going to believe her. That's the purpose of the manifold world, is to draw the things that you are dealing with. And like I said before, when they present the truth in a mat with a veneer on it and all the typically little things that they do, the widow, the I'm daddy, the Sabbath, don't hate Jews, Trump don't have anything to do with this, all of these, I have to get back to work. And I think I saw a tweet of her saying, okay, this is now I have to get back to work. Right. And she got accepted. She became the ambassador of Greenland or something like that. She's flying, all the details here that she's put on there are designed to pull at your attachments. And if she gets it right, you have no choice but to agree with her perspective, just like she has no choice but to follow all the commands of the narcs who unalived her husband. It's awful. That's why I say you have to run. The only thing that works with these awful people is no contact. Why? And then look at the video I did with Tupac, the saint caught between two sociopaths. They love that. The saint. Now, see, listen, if you don't have any talent, if you don't have any ambition, if you don't have any light, you cool. No one's going, this darkness of these people don't come around you. They're not interested. They're interested in the ones who are going to be the bright and upcoming stars. And oh my God, they hunt them down like prey. They hunt them down like prey. And I wonder if Kirk has certain vulnerabilities that made him very vulnerable to narcissists. And the thing is that how would you get in so deep? In my podcast, Tupac caught between two sociopaths, caught between Diddy and Suge Knight. The odds of surviving that is slim to none, right? So when I was saying in your life, if that narc in your life introduce you to someone else, that person is there to basically pull you into darkness and to prevent anyone from knowing anything about you, any perspective or nothing. That's what that person is there for. So you can never deal with narcissists, certainly never go any places with them. And what's interesting, I also did a video on how you should always record narcs, because when you see them on tape, you actually see them doing these stuff behind your back, and there's no way that they can hide from this. So the thing about this public execution, town square execution, is so many people recording on videos, right? And now the narcs who put this together, they thought that they'll just the most important shots are probably the unaliving shots when they hit. But no, those are not the most important shots. What happens is that you got shots of people after it happened, their reaction after the shooting. And the reaction out of the shooting told their true intention. His chief of staff or something like that was right there next to him behind the post. And as soon as he got shot, got up on his phone, didn't even look at him, and then just walked away and was seen just walking away. They could never think about something like that. And so remember, if you're not recording that narc, you are awful. I mean, you are going to get yourself in a lot of problems if you don't break any privacy laws, but make sure you always record that narc, and recording them. And if they know you record them, oh, they'll never come around. Oh, if they know you record them, they'll never come around. So, hey, I hope this is helpful for you in learning more about these sick people, and I'm going to do a series on this, right? And hopefully I'll be able to sort of give you real-time examples of what I'm talking about. Because I know sometimes the concepts may be difficult to grasp, and it may take a little time to get it. So, but it'll be interesting on this journey. So, hey, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And so if you like this content, or if you know anyone who's dealing with these idiots, I mean, dealing with these idiots, just share some of my content with them, and hopefully this will be helpful. Also, soon I'll be releasing my book. Yep, it's a book entitled "Tupac Was an Actor," right? And I talk about how Tupac was really an actor, and he developed this role as a thug, right, in order to exercise his poetry. And he was around a bunch of psychopaths. That narcissism is a network. He felt that they were loyal to him. They really weren't. They shot him 5 times in the elevator, and he blamed Puffy. And when he came back as his lower self. When he came back as lower self, Tupac destroyed everything around him. It's going to be a very interesting book. And so overall, I believe in this literary work, Tupac was misclassified. He should be an artist, not a gangster rapper. He should be in the literary books, right? And so it's the same thing that happened to him. The networks around him have him portrayed as a thug, not as a poet. And so it's the same problem that if we have Tom Cruise, Tom Cruise being celebrated as Ethan Hawke. Right, as the character. No, the Tom Cruise, we talk Tom Cruise the actor, not the role he plays, but here we talk about Tupac not as the artist, but as the role he played as the Tupac. And I think that someone in our society needs to change this and talk about this. And the people who promoted this are the people who took his resources from him. And they're living as billionaires now while he's in the grave. And they living off his resources. They're living off his innovations. So that's what the book is going to be about. So we're in the process of making really good illustrations, and I'm going to try to help explain the underlying concepts of what Tupac should have, what he would have benefited from. Let's say that if I would say, hey, Tupac, you need to understand this, right? That narcissism is a network, man. The reason why you can't figure it out because all of them in on it, bro. Yep, all of them in on it, man. Yep. I think that's it for now. I'm going to stay tuned because I'm going to I'm going to continue with this series on narcissism as a network. And I think I'm going to do another one on Erika Kirk. It's a pleasure, guys. Read out. Take care, child. Ciao.